And if you have a question, you can type it in the chat or raise your hand.
Okay.
And I'll call on you.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Okay, I think we are ready to get started. We've worked out all the kinks with the technology. My hair is back to factory settings. So, wow, it's raining out there. So thank you all for coming out here physically. We appreciate it. And we're so happy to welcome a few of us on Zoom. For the people that are on Zoom, we will be muting you when you have questions. Either put it in the chat and we'll address it, or raise your hand and we'll unmute you. So I think we're all on kind of understanding on how that works now. I'd love to introduce our speaker today. So Jessica Witherspoon is a clinical nutrition manager at Mosaic Senior Life. She has over 20 years of experience as a registered dietitian working with older adults. Jessica got her Bachelor in Science in nutritional science from McGill University in Montreal, Canada. She interned at the Jewish General Hospital and Royal Victoria Hospital in Montreal. How interesting. In her free time, Jessica loves going for walks and hikes with her husband, 2 daughters, ages 12 and 14, and 2 hound dogs. She is also an aspiring gardener, every spring working on growing veggies and hoping to grow a green thumb. So I'd like to introduce Jessica and welcome her. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Amy and Ray, for organizing all of this. I want to, first of all, acknowledge that we were all supposed to meet about a month ago, but unfortunately, COVID happens, and I'm much better. But on the bright side, we get to be here in this wonderful venue, and I'm delighted to see all your faces here today, and those of you online as well. We are all here today to learn about something that is very important to me and to us and to most everyone, how to keep ourselves healthy as we age. I wanted to talk about focusing on the finger study. Has anyone here heard of the finger study before? No? Okay, wonderful. So we're gonna learn about it today. The Finnish government did this really amazing study focusing on multi-dimensional lifestyle interventions, and they were able to show that lifestyle can prevent cognitive decline. What they did, they did a double-blind randomized study. They had an intervention group and a control group over 2 years. Each participant did have an increased risk of dementia, but no memory issues at the beginning of the study. And doing 5 different lifestyle changes, they followed them. In the control group, they just had regular healthcare advice. And the results were amazing. This is the first study that's shown absolute improvements in executive functioning, in processing speed of the brain, and overall cognition, and was first published in 2015. So the finger intervention program, those who participated in the intervention, they had positive effects on their day-to-day activities. They had better health-related quality of life. They reduced their risk of multimorbidity by 60% compared to the control group. And the more active they were, the more they participated, the better the results. And they actually continued to follow these group of people in the intervention study in a longer than 2-year period and found that they had less cerebrovascular events. So what is the finger model? This is the finger model. And I really love this. It's a good visual to remember the 5 areas. The first one on the thumb, which is what we're going to talk about today, is healthy food, right? The second one is physical activities, mental stimulation, socializing, social activities, and then knowing your cardiovascular values, knowing your blood pressure, knowing your cholesterol. And when you think about this and you look at it, it all seems pretty straightforward, right? It's a no-brainer. All of these things are very good for you, yeah? And so what we're going to talk today about the finger diet model. So you can see a beautiful picture here that really represents the majority of the foods that they were having the participants in the intervention group consume. It follows the Nordic nutrition recommendations and also the principles of the Mediterranean diet, which I'm sure a lot of you here have heard of the Mediterranean diet, right? It's very, very well studied and shows a link to decreased cardiovascular diseases and cognitive decline. They have created their own food pyramid called the Finger Food Pyramid. And so today, together, we're going to go through each tier and go in depth about what compromises this diet. And first of all, I want to talk about the very bottom, the base, which is the largest part of the pyramid. And normally when you think of a food pyramid, you don't think about something being in the food pyramid that's not food. But here we have daily exercise, sleep, and for recovery. And you'll see there's an image of a woman on a bicycle, someone walking, someone exercising, a family around a table, socializing, having conversations, and then also the importance of someone resting and sleep. So all of these at the base of the pyramid show just how important they are for our daily bodies our bodies were meant to move, right? We were not meant to sit all day long. We are meant to move and we're meant to rest and socialize. We are pack animals, right? Just above that tier, we start talking about the food. If you notice, you take a look at it, there's no meats in there. The largest part of the pyramid regarding food is vegetables, legumes, berries, fruits, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. And olive oil is the preferred source of fat taken from that Mediterranean diet. And then you'll notice that on the side of the food pyramid are 3 glasses of water, just to symbolize the importance of hydration. Our body is made up of 60% water. We require a lot of fluid to be at our optimal health. So looking at this huge tier, let's delve deeper into these different groups of food that are in this part of the pyramid that they're recommending we eat every day. Fruits and vegetables. We've all heard eat your fruits and your vegetables, right? So this is not a great surprise. Why fruits and vegetables? Well, of course, they provide vitamins, minerals, fiber, antioxidants. And you always want to think of the more color you see, the more vitamins, the more antioxidants, the more benefits to your body. It doesn't have to be difficult. I picked this picture because it's so beautiful, but also it looks delicious, doesn't it? It's a colorful salad with, you've got greens in there, you got berries, vegetables, a light vinaigrette. Right there is a powerhouse of vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, excellent for your body. And then nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds, they provide healthy fats and very good protein that's plant-based and fiber. A lot of us may be familiar in the grocery store seeing trail mix, right? But nowadays, if you look at the trail mix packages, there's always like chocolate in there. There's always something very sweet in there. So what the Finger diet model is saying when they're saying, have nuts and seeds, make a trail mix, they're saying, almonds, walnuts, sunflower seeds, dried cranberries. We want to stay away from the sweets as much as we can. In this is also legumes, which can be confusing, right? What is a legume? A legume is like your beans, your peas, your lentils, even soybeans, but also peanuts. Peanuts are a legume. They provide plant-based protein, fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Just by nods of heads around the room, who here eats legumes on a daily basis? Okay, all right, we got a few. Wonderful, wonderful. This recipe I put up here is very simple. Hummus with carrot sticks and peppers and green beans. Fantastic nutrition right there. Whole grains. So this is like whole wheat bread, brown rice, quinoa. Has anyone heard of quinoa here? Wonderful, excellent. It's also very high, that quinoa itself is high in protein. But whole grains in general provide fiber, energy, vitamins, minerals. And I bet a lot of you, has anyone here grown up having oatmeal for breakfast? You can't go wrong. A nice bowl of oatmeal with some berries and some nuts. Again, trying to avoid too much of the sweet things that nowadays you'll see in the grocery store. When you go, they'll have the pre-made oatmeal packets with all the sugar in it and the flavorings and the chemicals. You know, old school, you can't go wrong with that. And then water. All of this is in the bottom tier. Water. So we're talking about how important it is to stay hydrated, but it's also difficult. And I acknowledge that in our day-to-day, when we're running errands, when we're working, doing what we have to do, it's hard to remember to take sips and stay hydrated, right? You often only remember you're thirsty. You remember you didn't drink enough when you're like, oh, I'm thirsty, right? And by then you're already dehydrated. So some tips. Carry a reusable water bottle around with you. They're very popular nowadays, the Stanleys and all of those. Taking sips throughout the day. When you're taking your medications, take it with a nice big glass of water. When you're eating a meal, take a bite, chew, swallow, take a sip. I love to do this, especially in the winter when I don't really want to drink water. I will add to my water bottle slices of lemon. I'll put some mint in there. I love the natural flavors that it adds. And alcohol does not count. Sorry to tell you all. So you can't count that as your glass of water for the day. The next tier of the food pyramid is fish and seafood. This is really huge in the finger diet module. Who here enjoys a fish on a regular basis? Oh, wow. Fantastic. Fantastic. So let's talk about what kind of fish. Oily fish are especially high in omega-3 fatty acids, which is very important for our brain health. Salmon is a good example, mackerel, herring, sardines. Tuna is also high in the omegas. However, tuna, because of the high mercury level, I would limit it to 1 to 2 times a week. If mercury accumulates in your body, it actually has a detrimental effect on your brain and can cause memory issues. So the easy guideline to remember, the bigger the fish, the more likely there's higher amounts of mercury in them, okay? I put up here a picture that looks delicious. We have a lovely baked salmon with some roasted veggies. That is a fantastic meal. Exactly what the finger diet module had their intervention group consuming regularly. And then on top of that tier, we have chicken, eggs, and dairy several times a week. They want us to have that. They are good sources of protein, choline, vitamin B12, but you want to opt for more grilled or baked, low-fat milk, yogurt, cottage cheeses, and I think these are probably things that we all have in our diet every day. I picked for an example here, a simple recipe of scrambled eggs with some spinach, some whole wheat toast, and cherry tomatoes is a fantastic meal right there. The very top of the pyramid, the very top, and it says consume sparingly, is red meats. So you have, that includes beef, lamb, pigs, and charcuteries, which are so popular now. So things like bacon, sausage, sandwich meats. And the reason for that is they're very high in salt. Studies show they can increase your risks of having cardiovascular events. So what the finger diet model is saying, they're not saying never eat these things. They're just saying don't have them every day or every other day, right? You can still enjoy them, but these shouldn't be the norm of what you're having. And then at the very, very top, at the tippy top of the pyramid, you'll see the symbol for sweets. So we want to decrease our sugar intake the most we can. It's not beneficial for our brain. Tastes great, but it isn't going to benefit you in the area of trying to prevent cognitive decline. Yes.
You mentioned choline. I've never heard of that.
Choline.
CHOLINE.
Yes. Choline is, I believe that's a mineral. Hold on. is a mineral very important for our body. It helps reduce cholesterol and it's important in our metabolism. And so choline, a lot of people get them from supplements. However, you can get them from chicken, eggs, and dairy products. One of the things that the finger diet talks about is that even though nowadays you can go to the store and you can purchase almost anything in a supplement form, the actual benefits are greater if you have them from your diet, from food, right? So if they're not saying don't take supplements, but don't rely on supplements, right? We want to make sure we get all the goodness from our foods for our bodies. I want to talk about protein because I know that is really big buzzword now. If anyone kind of thinks back, every decade there is something in nutrition that is all the buzz. So I remember the 80s, it was all about sugar. We wanted everything to be sugar-free, right? Sugar was the bad guy. And then in the 90s, it was fat. Everything needed to be fat-free, low fat. Fat was the bad guy. And as it moves forward, and what's the buzz if you can buy products that were low fat or fat-free, they were better for you. And now everyone's talking about protein. And yes, we do need quite a bit of protein to stay healthy. However, there are certain diets that are being spread out there that are too high in protein, which will actually have a negative effect on your kidneys and on your body, and also stop you from consuming other foods that are so important, like fruits and vegetables and whole grains. Now, as we get older, let's say you're 70 and older, you actually do need more protein than you did when you were younger. And the reason is that we want to try to maintain that muscle mass and strength and function. However, just because you're eating more protein isn't going to do it. You also need to move your body and exercise to help maintain that muscle, right? That's the two key things you need to do. So the recommendations for an adult is 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram. As you are older than 70, it goes up to 1.2 grams of protein per kilo. So let's say we have someone who's 120 pounds, right? That's about 54.5 kilograms. You multiply that by 1.2, that's 65 grams of protein a day. So to some, that might sound like a lot. To some, that might sound little, because I know people who are eating way more of that in a day because they're pushing protein everywhere. Really good sources of protein. That's our fish, right? Chicken, shellfish, eggs, of course, beans, legumes, and then even the plant-based ones like nuts, tofu, quinoa. I added this. So this is not part of the finger diet model, but this is our USDA created in 2011, which replaced our US food pyramid. And I love the MyPlate because I think it's a fantastic visual of portion sizes for us. In the US, we're so used to portion sizes being very large, right? And I've also seen a study that was done that the actual size of plates that are sold are greater now than they were 50 years ago, just because we all expect larger portions. But on this plate, you'll see it's divided into 4, but the 4 groups are not equal, right? And the largest portion of the plate is green, and that's vegetables, to show visually that your plate should have more vegetables on it than anything else. And then you have a small area for fruits, for grains, and your protein. And I included just on the side of it a visual with some food on it. You have like looks like a lovely piece of salmon, perhaps some couscous or quinoa, and then you've got some beans, green beans, and apples. And that's a really well-balanced meal right there. And you can look at portion sizes as well. That portion size there, that's not what we see when we go to a restaurant, right? So I wanted to talk about tips for beginners. Let's say you're hearing all this information and you're very motivated to start making all of these great changes to your diet because obviously you want to protect your cognition and prevent decline as we all get older. Start small. It can be very overwhelming if you decide you're going to go to the grocery store today and purchase all these fruits and vegetables and just start right off the bat, cold turkey, just eating everything wonderful. And then the chances are that you will fail and then go back to your old routine. So start incorporating 1 or 2 new recipes a week, new foods. Plan your meals. Take some time to plan your meals for the week. That will really help you to make sure that you're going to get these healthy foods into you. Cooking at home. Cooking at home allows you to control the ingredients, control the portion sizes. Of course, we all love to go out to eat, and I'm not saying don't do that. Just do a lot of cooking at home, a little bit more. And what I love about this picture of this couple here is that not only are they in the kitchen cooking together, they're making it fun. They look like they're having some kitchen karaoke happening. And don't be afraid to experiment. Try out different recipes and flavors and see what you enjoy. Our taste buds change as we get older. So perhaps when you were younger, you hated broccoli. Guess what? Give it another try. Find a good recipe, roast it, find different spices. You might find it's delicious now. Got some more tips. Focus on variety. It is so common for all of us human beings to get into the same routine of eating the same things every single day, right? We are creatures of habit. However, if you are eating the same foods every day, then that means you are missing out on the good nutrients you would get from lots of different other foods. Reading labels is so important. The push is really more toward whole foods, not everything that's so processed. The processed stuff, it's so convenient, it's so quick and easy, but when you look at the labels, you often don't know what are these ingredients? What is in this, right? And so you want to pay attention to the amount of salt that's in things, the amount of fats, added sugars. Hydrate, we talked a lot about that, about how important it is. And then fiber. So I wanted to talk about this. I think it's very important. If you are someone who's not used to having fruits and vegetables every day, and then you decide you're so excited and motivated to go and have salads and carrots and whatnot, and you have all of this food in one day that you're not normally used to, your system, your GI system will be like, whoa, and you're probably going to get constipated, which is not fun for anybody, right? So take it slow. Start incorporating fruits and veggies slowly to work up to where you want to be. We have brought today some yummy samples that I see some of you have already been enjoying, which is great. The first one I'd love for everyone to try right now is the black bean hummus. So this is a different take on hummus. The recipe is actually in your folder. And to dip, we have lovely vegetables that are so healthy. I love the colors I'm seeing, the reds and the oranges and the greens. The black beans provides excellent protein as well as fiber. And of course, you're getting all the vitamins and minerals from your fruits and veggies. What do we think so far? So-so? Yeah? It's a nice alternative so that you're not eating hummus every day. Sometimes you could do an easy black bean hummus. Oh, let me help you out right here. Oh. So this is something that I personally love. If the recipe's in the packet, it's a very simple one. And the other one that I think I've seen lots of people snacking on is a really yummy baked blueberry and banana oatmeal cup. The recipe that's in your packet does include nuts. However, we opted to not put nuts in them today because that is a common allergy. Didn't think about eggs, but I'm glad you seem fine. What did everybody think about the baked blueberry and banana oatmeal cups? Thumbs up? Yeah? So these were all baked at Mosaic. And what's nice about them is you can actually bake them in a big batch. The ones you're not going to eat today, put them in the freezer in a bag and then take them out as, you know, on a daily basis when you want to have them. Easy to take with you for a snack. What I also included in your packet is a sample 3-day sample meal plan based on the Finger Diet module, which is as you go through it, it's very high in fruits, vegetables. We've got a lot of fish in there, chicken, and it's based on 2,000 calorie meal plan, which is, you know, sort of an average, you know, because you can choose, it's got snacks in it. So yeah, I think I'm very excited and happy that all of you wanted to come today, especially in this rainy weather, to be here and learn about this amazing study that could really help us all protect our cognitive health and help us stay healthy as we can as we get older. Do we have any questions? Right here.
So at the very top of the pyramid are sweets.
Yes.
Does dark chocolate fall into a different category?
Do you know what? I would say dark chocolate. If you are going to have a sweet, go for the dark chocolate. Absolutely.
But more than one sweet, right?
Oh, sure. Sure.
Right?
Yes. I would say a tiny piece. I would, you know, I have to say I partake in my dark chocolate. I love Trader Joe's does dark chocolate covered almonds and dark chocolate covered pretzels. And so those are kind of the sweets that I have in my house for my family. Yeah. Yes.
Pecan, almonds.
Wonderful. Pecans are also an excellent source of protein. It's another nut, very, very good, 100%. Yeah. Yes.
Restaurant that would be in Salem, where I need to live. Focus on these kinds of diets.
We can certainly pass that along to Andrew. And I'm sure he'd be very amenable to that. Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, Andrew was the one who was really introducing this finger study to all of us. And so, yeah, he's a believer as well. Yes. Yes, sir.
Didn't hear much unless I missed it about pasta and carbs and also secondly garlic.
Okay. Okay. Garlic is in there. Let's go back. Garlic is in that big bottom tier. So yes to the garlic, 100%. Just gonna go back here to the biggest tier. I'm gonna get there. There I am. Garlic is in here. You see the garlic bowl right up there? It is certainly a big part of the diet. Very good for you. And as far as pastas, they're recommending whole grains. So if you want to have pasta, go for the whole wheat pasta. According to this model, this is what they are saying is the most beneficial. So yes to pasta, just go for the whole wheat pasta. Carbs are a big part of this. So for example, you have here a loaf of bread. You've got, you know, we talked about oatmeal. We talked about, you know, brown rice, wild rice. So yes, carbs are important. They're a big part of our diet. It's just you want what carbs, the kinds you pick is the important. I'll tell you what I do for my kids is they love pasta. But in order to get more nutrition in them, I've been purchasing for years now pasta made out of lentils. I get the pasta made out of chickpeas. You can buy them now at Stop and Shop even has them, but I used to be able to only get them at like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. So you can, there's different kinds out there that you can experiment with. There's even some pastas now that have other vegetables mixed in, so they're sort of tricolor, but those aren't as good for you as like the pastas made out of lentils or chickpeas. Yes.
Can you repeat the question after they do it into the microphone?
Oh, yes. For those of you at home, I apologize. I will repeat the question as I hear it so you can hear them as well. Yes.
I have two questions. Lynn mentioned salmon has mercury in it as well. So how much salmon should be?
Salmon is a big fish. Oh, the question is, salmon has mercury in it as well. How much salmon should you have a week? So salmon is a big fish. So yes, it does have mercury, but not the same as like a swordfish or a massive tuna. Those are huge, huge fish, right? So salmon, you can have, they said at least, 3 times a week. Yeah.
Is that true of farm raised as well?
Unfortunately, well, here's the thing. With salmon farm raised, I would say yes, just because it's what's in the water. And that the big fish eat little fish, right? That's the way it goes. And the tiny, tiny fish eat the little bits on the ground and whatnot in the water. And so they get all those little bits of mercury from the pollution from coal-powered plants and factories that go into the water through the rain. Presumably, but we don't know. But I would say at least 3 times a week, that's what they're recommending. And I think that's safe to do that. Absolutely. There was a second part to her question. I'm sorry.
I have a friend that every day she has to have a protein shake, 30 milligrams, the doctor will recommend. Can I go toward having more protein?
So, do you know why the doctor recommended she have the question, I'm sorry, is she has a friend who has to have a protein smoothie daily. That's 30 grams of protein in the smoothie. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can I ask why the doctor wanted her to have okay. Okay. All right. For some people, it's hard to get a lot of protein in your diet. And if it can help you by having a protein smoothie, that's fantastic. There are a lot of people out there who are eating protein smoothies in order to lose weight. And the focus is having a lot more protein in your diet, way more than your body needs, which is putting a stress on your kidneys and is not really recommended. There are some people who perhaps have a wound and or they're recovering from surgery. In those instances, your body, when you need to create new skin to heal, yes, you do need temporarily higher amounts of protein. Absolutely. It's very important in the healing. Was there that was your second? There are some questions from our friends who are with us via Zoom. So let's get the first question.
Okay, so on Zoom, Perry had asked, why low fat? Confusing whether fat is good for you and not. Shellfish, isn't it undesirable because of the cholesterol?
Okay, good questions. All right, so fat is important in our bodies. Fat is important for a number of reasons. It protects our organs. It helps us maintain our internal body temperature. It helps us our bodies produce necessary hormones to function. But much like the pasta question, it's about what kind of fat you choose to have. If you are choosing to have a large amount of your fat in a day coming from something that's fried and greasy, that is not a good fat. It's not going to help you, right? But if it's coming from something like salmon, which has the really good omega-3 fatty acids, that's a fatty acid that has shown to have wonderful benefits for our brain. Our body needs that. Then that 100% is where we want to go. So when we're looking at dairy products, the reason why we recommend low-fat dairy products is because the fat that's in a dairy product is not going to be the beneficial kind. It's not omega-3s. And so the really good stuff you're looking from the dairy product, the calcium, the vitamin D, that's the stuff you're looking for, not the fat in that particular food product. Does that make sense?
Okay, so the next question is from David Overhand. Regarding eggs, what is the current recommendation? How many eggs a week?
Okay, that has changed over the years. There was a time when eggs became the bad guy, and we were all worried about the cholesterol in eggs. And then it was eat the egg whites, not the yolk, right? Because the yolk is where the fat, the cholesterol is. And the consensus now, excuse me, is that 1 egg a day is fine because egg is excellent protein. It is a small amount of cholesterol that if you have it once a day, 1 egg a day, you should be fine. So that's the consensus as of now. But I personally, I enjoy eggs every day. And I feel, again, it's all in the way you spend your day, how you eat, and also how you consume it. If you're frying it every day, maybe the fried egg isn't the way you want to go. Maybe you want to try different ways of enjoying your eggs. But that was a good question.
What about dried fruit as a snack? A good substitute for fresh fruit?
Dried fruit is a great substitute. You're on the go, you're on the run, especially like in the example we had in a trail mix. Dried apricots have an exceptionally high amount of iron in them. So if you're someone who's low on iron, just snack on some dried apricots. If you are looking for, I wouldn't recommend dried apricots for the only way you consume fruits. I'll put it that way, because when you're eating a fresh fruit, you're also getting inside that fruit liquid, right? There's water in watermelon. There's water in a cantaloupe, in an apple. So there's benefits to both, but yes, dried fruits can be a very healthy part of your everyday diet.
Okay, I think this might be the last question on Zoom.
Okay.
Allison is asking, all starch is converted to sugar. Should whole grains be restricted if you're pre-diabetic?
That's a very good question. Yes, all starches, our body will digest it and turn it into sugar. And that's why the quantities you eat is important, right? If you're going to have a massive bowl of pasta, your body doesn't need all of that pasta, right? So it's going to take what it needs and the rest of it, it's going to decide to save it for later and store it on your body. But that could also make your blood pressure, your blood sugar spike. Whenever you're eating, if you are pre-diabetic, but in general, when you're eating a snack or a meal and you're having a starch, it's really good idea to add balance to it. You want to add some protein in there and you want to add a little bit of fat. That will help your stomach slow down the digestion and there won't be a spike in your blood sugar as there would if you were to just have pasta by itself. So for example, if you had pasta with some chicken and a little bit of olive oil, that's a much better balanced meal. And again, the type of pasta it is helps versus the whole grain versus the processed pasta. I'm sorry, Lynn?
I'm going to run around with the microphone so we don't have to repeat.
That's a good idea, Ray. Thank you.
I was surprised about tuna fish because I've always thought that was a very healthy way to eat. What is there a difference between albacore tuna versus the darker tuna? I don't know what you'd call that.
Yes. Yes. So tuna is a very good food to eat. Absolutely. It's the unfortunate part about the pollution that us humans have caused our planet that have caused this mercury to be an issue. There is a difference certainly in taste. I can tell you with 100% certainty that at Mosaic, nobody likes dark tuna. Nobody. The skipjack tuna, that tuna is the better for you because it has the least amounts of mercury from what I was reading about that. So I would recommend, I think I included it on the slide, skipjack tuna is the better one to have more frequently. But if you love your albacore, 1 to 2 times a week is fine. It's fine.
Taking her question one step further, I'm having problems juggling to try to get to over 2,000 calories for a diabetic person
Okay.
and really restricting carbs.
Okay. So you're wondering what you can do to increase calories.
Most of those, well, I'm almost flipping your pyramid upside down because it just so happens that cholesterol is not an issue and I need to get fat.
So I would go for good fats from like nuts, walnuts, pecans, avocados are very high in fat and calories, and they're so good for you. I would just focus on healthy fats and try to put them more in their diet the best you can. And I would actually recommend for someone like that to go see a dietitian specifically. They'd be able to help you make a full meal plan that would better help you out. Yeah.
So, do you have any suggestions about the order in which we consume things? I ask because I've read, for example, that to get the best benefit from eating fruit, you should eat it on an empty stomach because fruit is digested very quickly. And if you put it on top of a meal that's digested more slowly, then it just sits there and gets sort of icky in your stomach. That's one thing. Another thing is I have a daughter-in-law who reads the Glucose Princess book, and she says what you have to do is eat the salad first and then put the other things on top of it. So do you have any suggestions about the order in which we eat these groups?
That's a very good question. The world of nutrition is always changing, but the need for people to come up with fad diets will always be here. It's always changing. Whether it's have a grapefruit to lose weight or whatnot. I don't think the order actually counts. I think it's what you're having in the whole day, what you're having in a meal. And I think it's just a matter of getting in those good foods and avoiding the things that are highly processed, lots of added sugar. I just read this book called The Antiviral Gut, which I thought was fascinating. And the author has a really great tip that I like. It's called the 1-2-3 tip. So you think about everyone eating, it's so hard to get vegetables in our diet, but if you think about it, at breakfast, you could flip it, you could do 3-2-1 or 1-2-3, but the idea is at breakfast, you make sure you have one vegetable in there. And then at lunch, you try to have 2 vegetables, whether it's your salad or sides of carrots and, Brussels sprouts. And then for dinner, you would try to have 3 servings of vegetables at your dinner meal. Or you could flip it. A lot of people like to make protein smoothies, and you can put veggies in smoothies and hide them. You can put kale in there, and you don't even know it. You're not tasting the kale because you put an apple, you put a little honey, you put a little cinnamon, and it tastes delicious, and you don't even know you're having it. So I think for me, honestly, over the years, I've been a dietitian for almost 25 years, and the trends will always change. But at the end of the day, it's what you really put in your body over 24 hours that counts. Yes.
We know that the oatmeal is good for us. I recently read that oat milk raises the blood sugar and it's not good for us.
That's a good question. So there are many different dairy alternatives nowadays, which is wonderful for people who are choosing to not eat dairy or someone who's lactose intolerant, right? So out there you have like oat milk, you've got coconut milk, you've got I've soy milk, rice milk, almond milk, and the truth is that because they are different, the composition of the dairy of the milk is different from cow's milk. It's not you can't expect it to be the same. They are fortified with they're fortified with calcium. They put vitamin D in them usually, but there will be a little bit of sugar. And so if you are someone who's diabetic or watching your sugars, I would just be mindful of the amount you have and then what you have it with. So if you were to drink a glass of oat milk by itself and you're diabetic, probably might have a spike in your blood sugar. But if you mix it, you're having it with some nuts and some berries and some cereal or whatever, that takes longer for your body to digest it and to enter the bloodstream. So there won't be that high of a spike. So it's all about how you mix it and how much of it. If you're someone who finds yourself drinking glasses of it all day long, that will affect your blood sugar. Yes. Yes, sir.
It's probably pretty esoteric, but I love sourdough bread. Everybody what is that? Okay, is that just like regular bread?
I have a dietitian friend of mine who just got into sourdough, and she swears she's going to make me a sourdough believer too. But she's making it at home, and it's delicious. However, it's not a whole grain bread, but enjoy it. Absolutely enjoy it. But you want ones that are, made with a whole wheat in there. What's that? If it does exist, that's wonderful. Then you should definitely do that. Yeah.
Are there any other questions in the room?
I see another one from Lynn and from my Michigan.
I recently went to a lecture.
Can you hold it closer?
I recently went to a lecture of someone who did research with the author of The Blue Zone.
Oh.
And they talked about olive oil.
Yes.
There's olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and first pressed green olive oil.
Yes.
And she said that it was the first pressed green olive oil which had the most benefit. Is there any truth to that?
Yes, there is. There like most things, not everything is the same. So you'll go to the grocery store and you can see an olive oil in a clear container versus an olive oil in a tin. The olive oil, the wonderful antioxidants, they're affected by light. So you want a dark bottle or you want a tin to protect the goods that are in the olive oil. But also keep in mind, what you're using the olive oil for. If you're going to use it to lightly fry something or to roast something, then you don't need to spend the money on the first press. But if you're going to use this first press olive oil in your salad and you're eating it directly, yes. So what I do at home is I have two different kinds of olive oil. I have my first press, which I put in my salad, or if anything, I'm going to be like a hummus, just mixing it and eating it. And then I have the olive oil that's not so expensive, but I'm going to be using it when I'm lightly frying or roasting my veggies, right? Because the heat affects the nature of the olive oil.
All right, for those on Zoom, yes, I am going to be sending you all of the packet of information. So as soon as we get back to the office, I will send out an email blast to those that have attended with those recipes. That way you have them in real time. Those that want the recording for later in case anybody asks, I will also attach the recipe, the packet, all of that information with the recording when that comes out about a week from now. All right, and then Lynn has a question.
Multigrain bread versus whole wheat bread.
Multigrain bread versus whole wheat. That's a good question. They're both good. What the Finger Diet module is saying is to go for whole grains. They want you to just not mess with it. I buy both. So I think variety is a spice of life, and we're talking about variety. So I wouldn't say just eat one all the time. Yeah, they're both good for you.
Well, seeds are on the list too, along with
Yes.
whole grains, so multigrain seeds. I just one more thing about olive oil.
Yes.
I have read that if olive oil gets heated to a very high temperature, something happens to it and it becomes less good for us.
Yes.
And that there are other oils that if we plan on cooking at a very high temperature would be better, like maybe avocado, I think. So
that's a very good question. The temperatures they're talking about are very, very, very high, which is what happens when they're in factories processing foods. And that can turn into like trans fatty acids, which we want to avoid. For lightly, the cooking you're doing at home, the roasting, the frying, light frying, a wok. Yeah. The Finger Diet wants olive oil, but avocado oil is very good for you too. And avocados are on here as a very important food. So again, I just want to stress, you don't have to have the same things all the time. You can cook one day with the avocado, another day with the olive oil. They're both good for you.
My GYN said I should eat pepitas and pumpkin seed. Can you eat too much of that? Because I eat tons of it. I love
the question to that. I love pepitas, pumpkin seeds. And I would say it's how they're prepared. If they're roasted and salted, and if you're worried about salt and blood pressure, then I would be careful about the amount you're consuming. If they're just roasted and plain, then enjoy. But again, it's about variety. You want to fill your body with other foods, not just pepitas, even though they are wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Is there any other questions on Zoom? We have just a couple minutes. Allison, you can try unmuting and see if it works.
Right. I know that sweet potatoes are very good for you, but what about white potatoes? They're a white starch, but are they converted to protein? I mean, if you're pre-diabetic and you're avoiding starches, is that considered a white starch like white pasta or not?
That is a good question. And yes, potatoes, when we eat them, even a sweet potato, our body converts it into like a form of sugar. So if you are diabetic, that would affect your blood sugars. However, there's lots of good things that come from potatoes. And so I would never say, don't eat a potato or don't eat a sweet potato. It's all about how you eat the potato. Are you frying it? Or are you doing a baked potato with the skin and then putting some meat with it, some other veggies, versus just eating it by itself with butter, right? If you were to eat it by itself, a lovely baked potato with butter, and you're diabetic, your blood sugar is going to spike way high. But if you mix it with other things that have protein and fat, then your body will take more time to digest it, and it won't be that large of a spike. And it's
Thank
the
you.
amount as well. We've all seen some gigantic potatoes, right? So that as well would be a factor.
Thank you.
Yes.
Olive oil, that the olive oil all comes from the same country in a bottle rather than a mixture from different countries.
Okay, I'll just repeat that. I have a question regarding how important it is when you're purchasing olive oil or any oil, and that the origin of country where it's from, and some of them are mixed. I think that's a really good question. I think my answer for that is personally, I try to buy as local as I can just because. So I try to get California, I try to do those. I don't think it matters tremendously about the quality of the olive oil. But you have to always look at what type it is. Is it first press? Is it, extra virgin? Those kinds of things are important, I think, more so than where it comes. But also keep in mind, anything that comes from very far away, how did it get here, right? It took a lot of time on a storage container to make its way over here versus something that is within the country or Canada or something. I guess it would be Mexico, but anyway, so I don't think the origin of country is as important. I think the thing that I would look more for is what type of olive oil it is. Yeah. And what container it's in. If it's in a clear glass bottle, or a clear plastic bottle, the quality of that olive oil is not going to be comparable to one in a very dark glass bottle, or even in the aluminum tins. They can come sometimes in those. That's a higher quality olive oil.
And the aluminum does not seep into the olive oil?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. Appreciate it. And thank you all for coming out today on this rainy day. We do appreciate your expertise. That was amazing. I'm looking forward to making pesto salmon maybe tonight or tomorrow. Few little announcements. So again, we are having our groundbreaking next Friday. Let's hope this rain is away from us. But we will have a tent, and it will be in the our parking lot. So it will be near the location. And we're excited for everybody to come who can come. Also in June, and I think it's in our newsletter, Dr. Scott Gottlieb will be at Mosaic Senior Life. It's a Coleman lecture series that Mosaic Senior Life does annually. And please join us. I'm excited. I mean, he really got me through the pandemic, to be quite honest with you. He's an expertise. I believe he sits on the board of Pfizer. So he was instrumental in getting the vaccine out there, as well as information regarding that. So I think he's going to have a lot of interesting things to say. So we would love for you to join us. There is an RSVP that you do need to do, and we can send that out. We'll probably send that out a little later. Also, our next series, because we would like to continue this conversation with the finger study, will be June 11th, and we're having one of our physical therapists and home care agents, Caitlin. We're still deciding on our venue, but that will be June 11th, which is, I believe, a Wednesday. So June 10th is Dr. Scott Gottlieb at Mosaic Senior Life up in Bridgeport. And then June 11th will be Caitlin from Mosaic Senior Life, and we will get that information out to you as soon as we have finalized the location. Is that about it? I think we hope we see you all next week. If you can make it on Friday, May 16th, 1 p.m. We will have Governor Ned Lamont with us, as well as hopefully a few other dignitaries. But we do have a really great response from our members. So again, it's another way to get out and get to meet each other, and we will be serving refreshments afterwards. So of course, we always serve refreshments, right? Oh, champagne, I hope. I don't know. But we're so excited. And of course, it is because of all of you that we have gotten to this place where we are on time, if not ahead of schedule in our development. So again, thank you all for joining us today. Get home safe. cross that street carefully, watch for puddles. And we look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thank you. Nice.
Oh, I turned it on.
Hi, for those on Zoom, we have a Barbara. We also have a iPhone 14. So if those are you, can you please either send me an email saying that you attended the workshop, just that way we can update our records, or you could chat your name in the chat, please.
Also, the groundbreaking is going to be at 260 and not 210 Long Ridge. Oh, I see. Okay.
Correct. Yep. It'll be at 260 Long Ridge Road. More information on this is going to be coming out in the next couple days.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ray.
All
Bye-bye.
right. I am now
Thank you.
signing
Have
off of
a
Zoom.
good day,
So
everyone.
everybody, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'm excited to see all of you at our next event.
Thank you. Bye.